Up the Reds, welcome to another live at 5 from This Is Anfield and the Late Challenge. We are the Late Challenge, myself, Gareth Robertson, him, Paul Cope. So if you like us, go and check out our stuff over there. But this is here and we're talking about Liverpool. We are live. We want your comments in the comment box. Some already in there. Fire away and we'll try and mention some of them as we go through the show. But the Reds, a great afternoon yesterday, a great afternoon to be on the Kop. We were sweaty Kopites because it was very, very warm. But the Reds made sure we enjoyed the afternoon. Blowing away, I would say, Aston Villa. And that is now the Reds, the wonderful Reds, the 10 out of 12 points Reds. The crisis, what crisis Reds? The Reds, who gives a shit about transfers Reds. It was just great to get back in the ground, to forget about all the sort of the stress and the strains of the transfer window, of online supporting Liverpool, if you like, and get in the ground, watch the Reds do the business. And if you think about that, it took us 7 games last season to hit double figures in terms of points. Then this is a fairly decent start, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It was a glorious day. It was a piece of piss with 11 men, mate. We played the last 2 with 10. And also a great way to go into an international break. I hate the fact that we have an international break now, but if you're going to go into one, which you have to do, then it's nice to end in that way with Liverpool 10 points out of 12, handily placed.
100%. I've just in the comments straight away, I've just seen Peter McDonough saying, looking forward to this, got you on the big telly. And I immediately thought, you've got me on the big telly, Peter, as I'm picking chocolate out of my teeth. Because I'm such a professional. As we went live at 5, just took a nice big bite of a chocolate bar. Yeah, it's been boss, hasn't it? When you think, like, if you go back to what we were talking about before the season started and what might happen, and I was saying, dude, this season could go one or two ways. Like, there is a world in which the wheels fall off quickly here, and it's gone the complete opposite way, hasn't it? In fairness,
I think that's what,
to have 10 out of 12. Like I did another show predicting you the first 4 games, what would you get? And we were saying on that, if you come out of that with 7 to 9 points, but I was saying 7, like I'd have been all right with 7 points. Win your 2 home games, get a point at Newcastle, say, maybe lose one of the Chelsea or Newcastle games. That wouldn't have been the end of the world. But bearing in mind where we are, where we're coming from and all that, to come out of it with 10, and not just 10 points, but 10 points in the way we've done it, is brilliant.
Yeah, and I think it's the spirit that you can see among Liverpool, like how hard the pressing Villa yesterday, the energy levels, the confidence. I mean, I was looking at Joe Gomez and I was thinking, I'm a fan of Joe Gomez. I've always liked him, but we know about his struggles. We know that at times it looks like he's held together with spit and string, but there he was strutting about the pitch with absolute confidence, the way he was playing. And, just sort of like the timing of his challenges, the way he was passing the ball. There was like a swagger about him, do you know what I mean? Yeah. This wasn't like a fella where you're looking at him and you're thinking, you just got your chance because of injuries and you must be thinking, well, I need to take the, and he didn't look like a person carrying a weight. He looked like a person going, I deserve to be here. I'm quality, There was a time, let's remember, there was a time where, him and Van Dijk were first choice. They had that sort of big bromance going on. He was playing for England and people were saying, he's a first choice centre-half for England. And then he's been unfortunate with the injuries. And I think because of his injury record, people stress about that and have a little bit of anxiety about how many games can he string together. But I thought he was absolutely superb.
Yeah, it's dead funny because I mentioned him last week and I saw someone in the comments afterwards that said because I said he's got a higher ceiling than Kanate, and
you got buzzed off.
It was one of them where it was just like, I can't believe you said that. It's a
people
disgrace.
Get so angry about these little things.
I was like, mate, it's just my opinion. Yeah, like there is just so you know, there isn't a right answer. Like there's no one out there that goes,
he's a huge asset though, isn't he? If he's fit, he can play basically right across the back line.
I think anyone who dismisses what I said last week about Joe Gomez has got a very short memory, because what you've just said, Joe Gomez to me when he was at his peak for us was one of the best centre backs in Europe. Forget playing for the England national team, he was phenomenal. He had everything. He was he's big, he's fast, he's skillful, he can pass the ball, he can run with the ball. His reading of the game's great. As you said, had a great partnership with Van Dijk. He can play left back. He can play right back. He can play both sides of centre back now. He's playing the left side, the centre back role.
He's got pace. He can move into midfield.
He can do everything. Yeah. And so if you're dismissing him, I'd say go back and watch him, like from a few seasons ago when he was at his best, because you've forgotten how good he is. He's cultured as well. That's something I'd forgotten. Something I think he's better than Konate for. Konate's one of those centre-backs to me, looks a bit all over the place. Everything. He's good, very good. But lots of things look a bit last-ditch and diving in, whereas Gomez at his best does feel to me like that calm, assured thing that Van Dijk's got. Hasn't hit Van Dijk's peak levels, don't get me wrong, blah, blah, blah. But get him at his best, keep him at his best, keep him fit. And of course, it's a phenomenal asset to have in your side. And it's things like that where you can see Klopp going, that's why I don't need to buy more players, because if we keep him fit, and we'll go on to talk about this later probably, and we're doing a second show, aren't we, about the transfer window in itself. But my big thing is, but it's the Einstein thing. The greatest sign of insanity is doing the same thing over and again and expecting different results. You're like, well, here's what I think. If you keep Joe Gomez and Joel Matip fit and Konate fit all season, it's a surprise, because history tells us that they will all get injured. Konate's already injured. So I think that's just a too big a risk to take. I think it's crazy to back. And don't get me wrong, I would love it if Matip and Gomez stayed fit all season. I'd be made up. History doesn't tell us that's going to happen.
Yeah, Rob in the comments there says they looked on it off the back yesterday. Can't help but wonder, does Virgil van Dijk's casual nature have an impact on them, on the people around him when he's on the pitch? And I would say that, I don't know about the Virgil point, he can look like that sometimes, there's no two ways about it, but they were definitely on it. I thought that, being in the ground, obviously we take the lead after 3 minutes, and by 22 minutes, second goal goes in and the game's done. You can sense Villa are not coming back in this game. And, they're a good side, good manager, tipped to do good things, not least by me. And I thought it was going to be an incredibly tough game. And to just get it done and get it done early and start well, because that's been one of the issues. You're like, is there any chance we can start a game well, not look as though we're half asleep? And it was I thought Robbo as well at left back looked really on it. Was winning his early balls, winning the challenges, and I sort of think sometimes we can talk about footy, get really in depth about it. All the stats come out and talking about tactics and all that. But I think the simple psychology sometimes of a game. If you show you've got the upper hand early on, you stamp your authority on a game. You're giving yourself a huge chance of winning it, and to go with Szboszlai's finish for the goal in the 3rd minute is absolutely superb. I just about made it in to see it. Great goal, great finish, great to see someone score that type of goal as well, because I feel like I've seen the ball fall in those areas a lot over the last few years, and we haven't had someone who can score that type of goal. So it was great in terms of that. And they've said as well, it's something they've been working on in training, that he's been shooting from that distance, from set pieces and things like that. It's just another part of the armour for Liverpool. He was brilliant again. His start to his Liverpool career is absolutely superb. And he's sort of on his own. McAllister started well as well, to be fair, but he's got the advantage of he'd played in the Premier League. So Szboszlai's come from another league. He's young. He's gone to a completely different country, and he's absolutely bossing football games. He's everywhere. He looks like he's got everything. And you've got to sort of control yourself and say, we've only had an handful of games, don't get too carried away. But you know what? It's nice to get carried away, and it's nice to see someone in the number 8 shirt worthy of the number 8 shirt again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I was saying to you a few weeks ago, my concern for me and my stage of football supporting is when I was watching all these players leave in the summer. Firmino's gone, Wijnaldum went a couple of seasons ago, Mane had gone, Henderson's gone. It's all these lads who I'd fallen in love with have left. And I was like, I just think I'm probably past falling in love with footballers again now. And then Szboszlai comes along and I'm like, I'm going to warn everyone now. All you're going to hear about me banging on about for his whole career is how refreshing it is to have a professional footballer who can kick the ball with 2 feet and comfortably. Do you know what I mean? he doesn't flinch. When that ball dropped on his left foot, he's like, I'm hitting this. He had another one later on. Left-footed shot, right-footed shot, left-footed passes, right-footed passes. I fucking love him. And I know I'm not alone in that. Like, it's mad that, like, McAllister started well. And do you know what? I feel a bit sorry for McAllister, because if it wasn't for Szboszlai, people would be like, fucking McAllister's good, isn't he? Like, he settled in really quickly. But people are sort of going, yeah, but he settled in quickly, but he was already playing in the Premier League. Szboszlai's come from another country, and look at him. And because he's all action and he's tall and he's handsome, never underestimate, like, his handsomeness. Like, that adds something, do you know what I mean? His size and his stature and his laughing around the pitch and all that. Phenomenal. But I do want to mention McAllister, because something dawned on me while we were watching it. I've been banging on again since we lost Wijnaldum. We let him go. Not sure about that decision, still looking back, but we let go someone who was just, and this is massively underrated, completely reliable, didn't get injured, turned up every week, and you could guarantee at least a 7 out of 10 from him. Gini Wijnaldum very rarely dipped below a 7 out of 10, to the extent that people would come out the ground going, I don't even know what Gini Wijnaldum does, because he was so reliable and he would just keep things ticking over. I look at McAllister and think, we've got our new Gini Wijnaldum. Like, he's reliable, but he's very steady. There's not loads of, like, Szboszlai's got all, like, the flashy stuff, hasn't he? He's got that turn of pace. He did another one down the right wing where he just skinned someone. And you're like, in the ground, I can imagine it in the ground, everyone just buzzing off it. Even watching it at home, you're like, that's the type of football you love to watch. He gets you off your seat. McAllister's that other type who's just keeping everything ticking over, doing the stuff that needs to be done. The metronome, great word, yeah. So I just want to give him a shout out, because I think he was great as well.
Yeah, I spotted a tweet from Ben Boxack, and he put up some stats for Szboszlai after 4 games for Liverpool. So 1 goal, 1 penalty won, 2 man of the match awards, most dribbles completed, most shot creating actions, most carries into the box, and most recoveries in midfield. That's among Liverpool players, of course, but yeah, it's more than a decent start. Everyone's absolutely raving about him. And, like, you know, you're right that, you know, the sort of how he carries himself as well is a thing. I mean, you know, he's there afterwards, you know, he's doing his interviews, and he's just sort of saying, oh yeah, Mo wants to stay. Yeah, Sam. Yeah. Oh, he's all right. He's not going. He said to us, he's staying, type of thing. And you're like, are you meant to be saying this, mate? You're meant to bat everything away, straight bat everything. You're not meant to be like bailing into the Mo Salah debate, but he seemingly wasn't asked. The other thing I think we've got to mention as well is that, you know, it looked like there's been some tweaks in the sort of setup, and the tweaks that were made really looked like they'd worked, and everyone looked more comfortable in what they were doing. I think we've talked before, haven't we? You've talked before on this show, saying, like, you know, it doesn't take a genius to work out that there's a problem there, dropping balls over Trent and that kind of thing. And it seemed what they've said to Trent, in this game at least, was you'll get some space by almost dropping back to the centre-half area. And then Matip was sort of drifting out wider and doing defensive work there. And it allowed, I mean, you literally see it on the second goal. He plays that lovely ball to Mo. Mo puts it in. Núñez gets on the end of it, forces the own goal. But that's from, like, a really deep position where he was allowed some space, and it's no problem for him to ping a 50-yard ball. But it looked better there, didn't it? I mean, again, emphasising again, Villa are a good side with a good manager, with a tactically astute manager. And it's like, you know, it felt like in every department we outfoxed Villa yesterday.
100%. And it was dead interesting watching on telly, because the commentator on the footage I was watching kept saying he couldn't believe Villa were giving Trent so much space. And I was thinking to myself, it's funny though, isn't it? Because we always do that. We always, like, criticise one side without saying, and we're guilty of this when watching Liverpool, without saying, yeah, but what have Liverpool done to create that space for Trent? Because that's what's going on. We're building this side to give him time and space on the ball to do things. And also, like, goes back to, you know, a criticism I was saying a couple of weeks ago about there's a coaching issue here. And I was saying, I know we've got a thing, you know, Klopp wants certain players in. And I can picture, I always think this, like, I can imagine Klopp watching stuff and going, you just don't know what the fuck you're talking about, lads. Like, those two things are not mutually exclusive. Do you mean they go hand in hand? Like, he referenced in a couple of post-match interviews I saw that we knew we had a problem with if Joel Matip was left exposed with Ollie Watkins, because even Klopp said Watkins is faster than him. And there's just certain things in footy where it's just like, there's nothing you can do about that. Like, he's faster than him. So what he was talking about was cutting off the supply. And I'm sure if Joe, going back to the coaching thing point from a few weeks ago, I'm sure Klopp would say to me, yeah, but it's easier, mate, Joe, when you've got a lad like Szboszlai in your midfield, because he's fast and he can chop off the supply chains. So then you don't get exposed. That ball, you know, the criticism of leaving Trent on the ball, that was the criticism of us with other teams last year, wasn't it? We're allowing teams to get their head up and pick out that pass. Well, guess what? That's not happening as easy anymore, because when you're trying to get your head up, you've got McAllister and Curtis Jones and Szboszlai snapping around your heels really quick.
And that was dead evident, wasn't it? There was a really good moment that I enjoyed where someone was coming down the right-hand side and, you know, they were sort of facing up to, I think Robbo, like, and, you know, looking to take him on or whatever. And Szboszlai just appeared on the scene and nicked it off him. You know, he almost came in from behind him, like, and you sort of looked at the player's face and it was like, well, where's he come from?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, it was like that all the way through. That's what I meant before about the sort of the high energy, the pressing was back. It just feels like, you know, they were doing all right anyway. But that sort of Newcastle game and the way it went and winning in that manner, you know, and I think we were saying last week, weren't we? You know, imagine being in the dressing room after that. Imagine the journey home. Imagine the energy that gives everyone. It was there, and it feels as though as well, you know, living being a Liverpool fan, it's felt stressful, the transfer window. It's felt stressful, all the Mo Salah stuff, and you wonder, does that translate to them? And yet there was no evidence of that at all. You know, even Salah himself is involved in pretty much everything. Looks spot on, you know, wasn't sulking, didn't have his head down, nothing like that. He was involved in everything. And you were like, you know, this looks great. Do you know what I mean? And like, you've got to sort of rein yourself in all the time a little bit. And, you know, it's only 4 games and all of those things. But that, as I said at the top of the show, that was a fantastic afternoon to be a Red.
But it's funny you should say that, because we talked the other week about, you know, other clubs criticising us for not reining it in, for being optimistic, for getting carried away. And I think what we're great at as a football club is getting carried away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think about the players you've signed, like the Szboszlais and the McAllisters and the lads who came in before them, the Cody Gakpos, Luis Diaz. You're selling them at Liverpool. They've seen Liverpool. They know the famous night. They saw Barcelona a couple of years ago. They saw Istanbul, and they're all young lads, but so sadly Istanbul's probably good. That makes me feel old saying that. They're maybe too young for them. But for them to all have had the Newcastle experience so early on, and to be like, oh, it is the Devil's Club. Like, it is magical. Do you know what I mean? We do. And they'll have come in the dressing room, and Klopp and Linders and other players and people at Kirby in the ground, just staff will be saying to them, yeah, this is what we do. Yeah. It's a very special football club, and you've already witnessed it. So we're capable of doing things that other clubs can't do. To have had that all already and to have this start with the players, I think they should be getting carried away, and I think we should be getting carried away. I think, and this is, I've completely changed my tune from a few weeks ago. Coming into the season, I was like, let's go for top 4, let's solidify that, win a trophy. We're not strong enough to challenge City, so it's going to be another year. We need more players. I do still think we need another player, and we didn't get them. We'll talk about that later. But with the start we've had and the way we're playing, I think we should be, and I think they will be within the dressing room, going, why can't we challenge City? If Arsenal are challengers for City, then we are. And we're only 2 points behind them already. I'm already looking forward, which is a massive shift. I'm looking forward to the games against Arsenal and City now, and United and Spurs, to really measure us against them, because we've already been away to Chelsea, away to Newcastle, home to Villa. They're 3 tough fixtures.
Yeah.
And we've come out of it with 10 out of 12
And when you
points.
watch Arsenal against Man United yesterday, I didn't particularly...
Mate, even I didn't see City at the weekend, but I saw them against Sheffield United, and even that, I'm like, not that much. Do you know what I mean? Like, is there that much difference? Something we were worried about last year, which is worth throwing in, is we just seemed like we'd lost our legs. Like, Joe, in games where Carragher kept saying this on Sky, like, in any game where the other side played with high intensity, we just looked lost. Like, we just couldn't keep up with it. And in fairness, that was a Fabinho, Henderson maybe issue with legs and stuff like that. It looks like that's completely been turned on its head, doesn't it, with the lads we've brought in? The level of energy in this football team now, the legs in this football team, I wouldn't want to play against them. And I think we're back to that. Klopp was saying it pre-season. We want to be that team, like he used to say years ago, we want to be the team everyone hates to play against. Yeah. And we stopped being that team. I think we're very quickly now getting back to the side where everyone will be like, you don't want to fucking play Liverpool, Like exactly what you said. They've got lads sniffing around you in midfield. You don't even see them coming. And then they've got this forward line. Jesus Christ. Like, you think you've got them covered. You think you've fucking dealt with the threat. And then they bring 2 lads off the bench. And we haven't seen Ben Doak yet. Do you know what I mean? I can imagine throwing him on, is it?
Well, I mean, that was one of the things yesterday, for all the talk. And I'm with you. And we're doing a separate show about the transfer window and the pains and the gains of that. But, I looked at the bench yesterday and, okay, I would say you can upgrade on Cancer. Obviously, he's a kid and it looks a little bit like he's getting thrown in a bit earlier than necessary, especially when Liverpool were literally actively seeking a left-sided centre-half. But he's on the bench there. He comes on. You got Tsimikas, you got Bajcetic, you got Endo, you've got Elliott, you've got Doak, you've got Jota, and you've got Gakpo. Like, that's a strong bench, that. And obviously the way football is now, like, they can all come on 60 or whatever, you know what I mean? And a lot of them did do. And it was an incredibly hot day. Like, it was like 24, 25 degrees or whatever it was, sun beating down. And, like, we get a little bit of shelter in the stands, but on the pitch, no escape. And then they're running the bollocks off as well. So, it was tough for them, like, but they managed to show this high energy throughout. And, as I said before, they just couldn't sort of live with it. I saw a comment on Gomez, just to go back to him. Luke Bowyer said he's always playing with the kids and fringe players, but it seems to me you give him a bit of responsibility and momentum, and he's shown how good he can be. There's short memories on a lot of people, for a lot of people. Someone else commented, though, still don't like Gomez. I'm sorry, he's not consistent enough. 2 good games, 2 bad ones. Well, he's had his 2 good ones because he was good against Newcastle. He was good in this game. So let's see what it looks like the other side of the international break. What else did we want to talk about? I mean, 15 games unbeaten. I was going to ask you about, 50, bolting on what happened at the end of last season. We're suddenly looking at Liverpool now and looking up and thinking, well, what can we do this season? I wonder what you thought about sort of, that setup that we saw, because he's bought Endo and then basically not played him. And he was gone with Jones. And I sort of thought, was Jones going to be the 6th then? But it wasn't. It was more McAllister was the deeper midfielder. But however way you look at it, it was pretty, like, attacking, yeah. Do you know what I mean? And you've got Ravenberg. How do you say his name? Gravenberg. You got him to come as well. And he's another one that it seems to be that type of midfielder, front foot, goes forward, bursts into the box, all this kind of stuff. Do you think it's like by design or by accident? Do you know what I mean? Like, because he obviously did want a DM. We went for Caicedo, we didn't get him. And then you've ended up with like a lot of attacking lads and a 30-year-old from the Bundesliga who looks like he's still finding his feet a little bit. I wonder, will it end up being that, especially at home and especially against the poorer sides in the league, it's pretty much, let's just fucking go for it. Do you know what I mean? And McAllister's going to have to live with being the deeper midfielder.
Yeah, I think that's the case, and I think that's fair enough. I think it's something that we struggled with.
More break glass for them, though, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think, I might have said last week, I think everyone's forgotten that where this whole like rebuild of the midfield and changing how we play football started was because the great side we had started to look like everyone had figured it out and we didn't have enough creativity in midfield. So there had to be an evolution. And I mean, that's got lost along the way. And I only joked last week saying you could go back to that boring midfield now and you'd be sound because everyone's forgotten how we play against it anyway. But I do think for the majority of the sides, as you say, you're playing at Anfield, that setup's fine. Because you are going to have more of the ball and dominating the midfield with attack-minded lads who have got one eye on defending is generally going to be sound. And I do think we'll just back ourselves to outscore at Anfield. The question will be then, what happens? What are we doing away to Man City? But the reality is, and I've banged on about this for years, there aren't that many games. We literally only play City twice a year in the league. So you can lose twice to City and still win the league. That's the reality. If you blow everybody else away, that's what City have done for ages. They're just blowing everybody else away. And you don't necessarily need that unbelievable 6 to do that in loads of those games. I do still think we're short. That's the long and short of it. I think someone said in here, Orlando needs to talk about last 2 matches. Robbo putting an excellent shift in at left centre back. Staying in a 3 in the back when Trent's midfield picking passes. And I'm like, yeah, but why haven't we bought a left centre-back then?
I know.
Because all of a sudden, and I said this weeks ago in the transfer window, if this is the way we're going, Tsimikas already wasn't getting a game as a straight sub for Robbo. Like, he was already like a Robbo light, wasn't he? Well, I'm sure nobody wants to see Tsimikas playing left-sided centre-back, stepping into midfield or covering when Trent's leaving. And so for me, even if you didn't have Doe, which conspiracy theories aside, we did have Doe. I don't understand why we didn't. Well, you could have shifted Tsimikas and brought in a player who's more suited to this system. My concern is the back line now. You've got lads who are great for the way we used to play, but you haven't brought in lads who are suited to this. So even like Joel Matip playing that role you described, even during the match, I was like, Gomez was playing great, but I was like, I'd be switching you two.
Yeah.
Gomez is more suited to the lad who gets to go out to right back because he's played right back. Joel Matip being dragged out to the touchline is just, if I was playing against them, I'd be like, great, get Joel Matip dragged out and isolate him. Bring in, even during the game, until later on in the match when Trent went, I was watching Robbo thinking, I feel a bit sorry for you because we've sort of restricted you. And I think you mentioned that a week or two ago. And not really into that, to be honest.
He looked like he was enjoying himself a bit more yesterday, I thought. You know, like he was a bit more, like, I don't know, like something about his performance that caught my eye a bit more yesterday. Like, say, you know, he's winning his early challenges and things like that. There's a bit of bite about him, and which you want to see from Robbo, which is his game. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the other side for us, I was thinking, like, you probably, and he could be knackered. You could be elongating his career.
Yeah.
He might be there going, sound, I could, you know what, I could do with half a season, not bombing up and down the wing like a fucking wing back every 30 seconds. So you could be elongating his career.
Especially when he's got, like, you know, he's now got more legs in front of him with the lads we've signed as well, because, you know, we all remember when, he chased every Man City player down that time, and we're absolutely loving it. And he's gone from like left back to sort of like right wing and up front and wherever, chasing down the ball. But, you know, that's not sustainable, and it's certainly not sustainable the older he gets, as you said.
That was that 5 years ago now.
Probably,
when you think, and he's 5 years older, and he's got 5 years of that running in his legs.
He's got all this on the clock, yeah, definitely. In terms of what we're talking about, sort of, you know, how perceptions have shifted already by you know, Liverpool's start, if you like. If you look at the title odds, you've got City, which, you know, pretty much everyone's favourite, because, you know, who'd back against sport washers with 115 charges, especially when they're getting dodgy decisions like they did at the weekend. Just one for the conspiracy theorists there. But, you know, everyone's going to say, yeah, City are going to win the league, and they're odds on to do so. But then when you look at the other odds, there is now a sort of a group of two, which is Arsenal and Liverpool. So Arsenal are 7-1 to win the Premier League, Liverpool about 9-1, and then a huge gap: Tottenham 25, Chelsea 30, Man United 33-1. And I don't think anyone would back any of those sides. But I think what's interesting as well, I was looking at this morning, because we're Liverpool fans, because of, like, you know, we've grown up listening to quotes from Bill Shankly and all the rest of it, I think we concentrate a lot on the league, don't we? We think about the league. We want league titles. We still want to catch up to and surpass Man United and that kind of thing. But I thought, well, what about the other competitions, though? You know what I mean? I'd love Liverpool to win the Europa League. I'd love to go to Dublin and see Liverpool do that. It's going to be absolutely wild trying to get a ticket for that, if that does indeed happen. So I thought, well, what are the odds for the Europa League? So I had a look, and we are favourites as things stand. I mean, you've got to remember that the third place sides from the Champions League groups are parachuted in for the last 32. So that could change the picture. But right now, the bookies make Liverpool 3-1 to win the Europa League, Brighton 12-1, Roma 14-1, Villarreal 16, and then on and on we go. So quite clear favourites as things stand. We're also second favourites behind City to win the FA Cup at 8-1. Same for the League Cup, 8-1. And we're now odds on to finish top four. So, you know, the rosiness that appears to be around Liverpool because of the start is now reflected in, you know, the odds as well. And even the sort of, you know, and I get that there's a temper on the positivity because of the squad, because of the transfer window, because people wanted a centre-half, and so did I. But equally, you know, Bajcetic on the bench yesterday, Thiago still to return. If you can get him fit and firing, he can contribute. There's no doubt about that. For all the worries about, you know, his injury record, when he's on the pitch, he is good. He can contribute, especially, I think, you know, home games and sides sitting deep, you know, able to pick a pass and all that kind of stuff. So what's your swing on the positivity and negativity right now, given the start, but given the transfer window stuff?
Well,
and the ongoing Mo situation as well, of course.
Well, that's an interesting one, because I was just about to say, my general attitude is the transfer window's closed now, so we can debate it all you want. And it's with the asterisks. Do you mean the transfer window's closed now? Asterisks, Saudis, fuck off. Let's say we don't sell Salah. Hopefully, the transfer window's closed. Forget it. What's our general attitude towards the season? Positivity. Like, why not? Like, we've started really well. The lads we've brought in look good. It's the glass half full, glass half empty thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can sit here all we want saying we didn't get a defender, but the lads we've bought are boss. Like, for us to bring in Gravenberch or Gravenberch, how are we pronouncing that?
I don't know. Someone will tell us one time.
Tell us in the comments.
We'll work it out for next week.
It's taking me this long to get Szboszlai, so the fact we got him on transfer deadline day, no one's really talked about it. Like, he's such a highly rated youngster who we wanted a couple of years ago. Could be a great signing for that price. Our transfer business has been really good. Like, it's just missed extras.
Yeah, it just sort of feels like you just needed to go that one more. You just needed to push the boat out one more time and get the one more. And then, the feel good would have been through the roof. The FSG outs and all the rest of it, would have been back in the boxes for a bit. And we could have concentrated without an asterisk on this can be a boss season, Yeah. But until Thursday or whatever it is, until the opportunity for the Saudis to buy Mo is gone, we've still got this huge uncertainty. And, we know that Sky Sports, Talk Sport, the tabloids and all that are just going to keep building it up because it's the only one they've got left now, isn't it? Of course. Do you know what I mean? I'm not the biggest fan of all the transfer content. I've talked about that before. It does me head in a little bit. But, I'll still engage in it. I still watch the deadline and all that. Felt like Liverpool still had some skin in the game as well, so that helped. With the Mo stuff now, there appears to be lots of conflict and stuff, and it kind of feels like it's going to be like that up until Thursday when we can breathe one way or another, because on the one hand, there's stuff about, there's what Klopp said and there's what Szboszlai said, and everyone's reading Mo's body language and they're looking at his performance and they're saying, well, he seems sound, and Klopp saying he's been absolutely brilliant in training, no sign of anything there. But then equally, his agent hasn't said anything since the start of August. And he must know. He's not daft that he can put this to bed with one tweet. Do you know what I mean? And he's chosen not to do the tweet. And the uncertainty is just still floating. And you've got loads of people saying they're going to be back. They're going to bid 200 million. They're going to offer him £1.5 million a week, which is absolutely wild. And then you've got the other side saying, well, why would you want to, and this is where I am, why would you want to shit all over your Liverpool legacy? You're in the top 5 for goal scorers in the history of the club. You can still go above that. You can still win things with Liverpool. You go out there into semi-retirement. Apparently, it's an absolute shit show behind the scenes out there in terms of organisation, facilities, all that kind of stuff. Okay, you get a massive bag of cash, but no one's really asked. I mean, they are about him, obviously. He's idolised in that part of the world. Yeah. I've been to Qatar. I've been to Egypt on holiday. I've seen what it's like for Mo Salah, and it's not about he's at Mo Salah, the Liverpool player. It's about Mo Salah. He's like a god. See, he's bigger than Ronaldo. He's bigger than Messi. It's huge for them to try and get him. I get it. But I just think from his perspective, like, why now? And also I think from Liverpool's perspective, it's got to be on our terms, surely. If you're going to let him go in January when we've had time to prepare for it, when we can line up some targets and things like that. Letting him go on Thursday, do you know what I mean? When he's in good form, he's involved in the goals. I don't get some of the stuff I've seen on social media over the last few days where people are, doing him down. For me, he's a legend of Liverpool Football Club. He's right up there with all the players that have played for us. He's part of the team that won the league after a 30-year wait. He's part of the team that won the European Cup. He's a relentless goal scorer. He's always fit. He hardly ever misses a game. I think 4 out of the 6 seasons we've had him, he's played over 50 games a season. He's absolutely brilliant. And there are people going, just take the money. And like, I don't get how if you're invested in Liverpool Football Club as a supporter of Liverpool Football Club, how can you be so throwaway about someone like Mo Salah?
I've said to you before, mate, I've had relatives saying it to me last year. And it's the one thing you can say to me that just makes me go, I'm just completely dismissing any view you've got of football now then. Like if that's what you genuinely think, because even as you were saying then, like he was a part of the league side, the side that won the league. He was a part of the side that won the Champions League. And my brain was going, no, he wasn't. He was the Ian Rush of that side. Yeah. He was the Michael Owen, the Robbie Fowler, the Roger Hunt, the Billy. Like he's the legend. Yeah. He's the goal scorer. He's the one that was singing about, and we'll always remember. His record speaks for itself. And I see people like reference this on telly, like. Is he past his peak? Is he past his peak? Fucking hell. Like, just look at the numbers. No, he's not. No, like, he's still absolutely flying. And how's he started this season? Absolutely flying. Does he look fit? Looks fitter than he's ever been. Your point that, like, and I've been banging on about this for years. I've already said it on the show and I'll keep saying it. When we're buying players, there's not enough. And I think this is football wide. If I owned a football club, that's a big if, but I'd be like, what's their injury record like? We don't talk about that enough. A good player who doesn't play is not good any use to you. Thiago, perfect example. Yeah. Mo Salah is that lad who is the perfect footballer. He's always fit. He's always available. He never dips.
I don't like Ronaldo, but he's like Ronaldo in the respect of he can go on and keep playing. Like people keep going, like it trended on Twitter when on deadline day. He's 31 trended. The words he's 31 trended. So fucking what?
Yeah, that's
he
my
can play
big thing
to 37. He can play to 38.
And he'll be planning on.
Yeah.
In his head. Well, I think he'll be thinking, because time moves on, science moves on, sports and nutrition moves on. Ronaldo's playing now in the Saudi Pro League. Mo Salah will be thinking he can be winning Champions Leagues when he's 36. In 5 years' time, he can still be winning Champions League. He should be thinking like that. And he should be.
Whether he is.
I'm shocked. You said something before we started recording of like, and I get that, like, and it was the first time someone said it to me, and I thought, yeah, you're right. If there is thought behind the scenes that this like money grab in Saudi is a short-lived thing potentially because it could all fall away, then I can understand why players might go, well, do you know what? I'll go and fill my boots for 2 years and then I'll come. Because did you see Harry Kane sort of made a similar comment to that? When people were saying to him about the Premier League goal record, he sort of went, I've got loads of time left. So he was basically saying, I'm going to go and win some trophies with Bayern Munich, try and win the Champions League, and I'll come back and smash your Premier League record. I'm not arsed. I could imagine there's a few players who are doing that, and Salah might be one of them. I'll go and fill my boots and secure my family's financial status for the next 20 generations. And I know people dismiss that. I've had people criticize me for saying things like that. Like, they're already rich. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a difference between rich and your family is secure forever. Like, past your death. Everybody, your kids, their kids.
It's 350 grand a week he's on at Liverpool, and it's 1.5 million they're offering him in Saudi, and then, I'm not sure what the tax situation is there. Tax-free.
This is the other thing. People don't... I've got a mate who works in Dubai, and whenever I say to people, like, Joe, what he gets paid, I have to go to people, but you've got to remember, if he was earning that same salary in the UK, he'd lose half of it to tax. This is all in his back pocket. And it's like, well, it's hard to comprehend, and I know most people... most of us can't comprehend this. I saw a little clip of like a BBC, discussion about it, and Dion Dublin was there, and Dion Dublin said something that I like try to do, put it in context. Someone said, Joe, £1.5 million a week, and he went, yeah, that goes in your bank every 7 days. Imagine your bank account every 7 days, someone just puts another £1.5 million in there for playing footy. Like, we can't comprehend it, and it's difficult and all the rest of it. At the same time, I'd still be shocked if he chose to go and take money when he's got all of this stuff that he said he wanted to do at Liverpool, break all those records, win another league, win a Champions League, go and play, even if he, like, I know this sounds like a mad thing to say about someone I'm talking so highly of, but if he said in 2 years, I'm going to go and play for Real Madrid and try and win the Champions League with Real Madrid because I get that experience, I'm like, okay, I get it. I don't get other than the money, going and playing in a shitty semi-retirement league.
I know.
Like,
I don't.
Like, it'd be like him going to play with kids in a Sunday league and being like, scored another 5 goals again today. And you're like, I keep seeing people put up what? Like, Ronaldo scored 5 in his first 2 games. And I'm like, and what?
So what?
Shrugging my shoulders, like, what? Sorry, why are you celebrating this? He scored now. Why are we still adding his career goals? Well, it's like Joe Pele. It's like when Pele scored all these goals. It's like, how many of them were in the Sunday league though?
Yeah.
Stop counting them now. We shouldn't be counting them.
I know. I mean, Dax has said there in the comments, he says Jordan Henderson was the captain of the side and just went like nothing without any proper farewell. Now, I've been working on a piece, hopefully sort of get it out there tomorrow for Love, Follow, Conquer. And in that piece, I'm sort of saying about, Mo and where he is in the sort of pantheon of Liverpool greats. And I was saying about Henderson. And like, we think about Henderson, won the league, won the European Cup, captained us. Played as many games for Liverpool, I think I'm right in saying, as Roger Hunt. And then look at how everyone's reacted about him going out there. Obviously, a lot of that being, he stood up morally to stand up for LGBT plus or all that kind of stuff. And then he's gone to a place where literally like, you're outlawed if you're gay. So I totally understand why people felt let down by him. But also, there was no farewell. It was grim. There was the little video, but that didn't really sort of land. And now people are just literally taking the piss out of his social media posts and things like that. And it all just feels like incredibly sad, doesn't it? It's a bit like, and I've said in that piece, how does time treat him? Like, is there a time when we look back and go, he was all right, him, you know what I mean? And he was great for it, but or will it always just forever be tainted now that he made that decision? And then surely Mo was looking at that and going, the people love me here. Do you know what I mean? They take the roof off with my song. Like he got some really good renditions yesterday at Anfield, which was made up about. And he gave it all, his all in that game. Absolutely no doubt about it. There was no question about his commitment or anything like that. He's got to love that. Any human being loves that, surely. Loves that they are, adored by a football club. And to just sort of like rip that up a bit, do you know what I mean? Taint it. Why would you want to do that? I just don't get why you would want to do that. And just on the sort of performance levels from Mo, I spotted the stats and I thought I'd read this out on the show. So it was from Opta Joe yesterday. It says 10 plus. Mohamed Salah is the first player to score or assist in 10 consecutive appearances in the Premier League since Mohamed Salah between August and December 2021 did so in 15 games in a row.
I love when he breaks his own records.
So he's basically doing one of his own records again.
Yeah.
No other player in the league is doing that. And like that's the level he's at. And there's this weird, I think there's like a weird thing, not just from some of our own fans, but outside the Liverpool bubble as well. Like there isn't this, I don't know if it's just me, but I just feel like there isn't a proper respect for him that there should be. Do you know what I mean? Is that just me? Like, I feel as though he isn't put on the level of world superstars. He's a world superstar, and he's our world superstar.
I've had this conversation in my own head so many times and in other places on shows and things, and part of me goes, well, what do I want to happen though? What is that I want? Do you know what I mean? For him to get the credit and acknowledgement and acclaim that I think he deserves, what is it I expect him to get? Because he gets his name sung every week by us. We fucking love him, most of us. Like you get the oddball who's like, yeah, let him go. But I think maybe he'll always get that. In the press, like I even see, he's one of those players, I think it's a bit mad because you see people like, I don't know, Linux has just popped into my head on Match of the Day and stuff, and he'll say like, he's unbelievable, isn't he? And she'll be like, he's unbelievable, he's a legend, he's the best. And like, so who are these people we don't think are giving him enough credit?
I know, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, what do we want? Do we want him to have a statue already? Maybe he should, I don't know. Like, but I know what you mean, because there is just a feeling, isn't there? There's just a sense that he doesn't get the acclaim, he doesn't get the plaudits that players in the past have had, and I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. So a couple of people have said in the comments here about, and I was going to say on our prediction show last week, and I forgot, like a good prediction, and it's not a massive, it's not a left field one for this season, is he'll have a 20-20 season, 20 goals, 20 assists, which is so rare at like elite level football to be that good. I don't know. I mean,
it might just be like, I don't know. Maybe it's because of like social media and that. And so, you go on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it these days, and you see Ferguson's undies 6, 7, 8, 9 who says that Mo Salah's not that good, and then that's like registering somewhere in your head going, well, why doesn't Ferguson's undies 6, 7, 8, 9 think he's that good? Of course he's that good. But and it's probably just blurts that you should really be thinking about.
But mate, I'm doing this a lot now in my life generally, is just when people, I think about where have I got this opinion from, where have I got this view from, and I'll say to other people, like, people get annoyed about something, I'll go, yeah, but think about everyone you know. What does everyone you know think? And it's like, oh yeah, you've got that off the internet, forget it.
I know, yeah. John O'Brien here says, interesting point, says Bobby, as in obviously Bobby Firmino, he did it the smart way, got the full hero send-off, then took the dirty Saudi money without the backlash. And like, there is a thing there, isn't there? Like, no one was bothered about that, about Bobby. And I think similar with Fabinho as well, sort of, because that's on our terms, I guess. Bobby was going anyway, wasn't he? He'd said, he'd announced he was going. Yeah. The manager said that there was a contract there for him. But he did do it in the way we got the send-off and we were able to say ta-ra. And then the fact that he went there, you just thought, well, he wasn't going around banging the drum for, LGBT plus and all that kind of stuff. He hadn't gone out there to put his morals front and centre like Henderson did. And so he's right, isn't he, that, we didn't bat an eyelid about that. And I think equally, if Salah said, I'm going to see out my whole Liverpool contract, give everything for Liverpool Football Club until the end of that deal, and then I'm going, we'd be all right with it, I think. I don't think there'd be any of this and ahhing and all that sort of thing. You'd be like, he's been an unbelievable servant to Liverpool and he's going to go out on our terms. It's this feeling, I think it's this sense that we're having our arm pushed up our back, and it doesn't suit us for him to go now.
Yeah, but I think
that's the bit that annoys, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? That sort of annoyed me with the Henderson thing as well, that like, we didn't have to sell him.
I know.
He's under contract. So
12 million quid as well.
Have you seen Klopp's comments at the weekend? Like, he said in a couple of interviews, but in the I think it was the post-match press conference, he went to one of the journalists, honestly, and he laughed about it. He went, like, the difference between what it's a bit like behind the scenes and what the world is like for this story is crazy. Like, there's nothing going on behind the scenes. No offers have come in. Nothing's been said. Mo's sound.
We were literally in a call to Mike Gordon, wasn't there? And apparently he just said no, and then that was it.
So we've said no. It's not happening. Yeah. That's up to us. But I think the other side of it is, which I think this is the flip side. I think if he ran down his contract and left for free when there's all this money available, knowing the way FSG runs the club, I'm not sure he would. Like, let's do it the other way around. What we just said about Firmino. We were never going to get £100 million for Firmino anyway. So him going on a free and then going out there, no one's asked. He was at the end of it. He was coming to the end of his career, his shelf life. For Mo Salah to go on a free, unless by that point his legs are going, and we can't predict that just yet. I think people would still be annoyed. I think where most people are, from what I've seen, is if he went next summer and we got 150 million for him next summer, everyone would be all right with it. If it was like, we know he's going, we're getting 150 million for him, and we buy some other superstar. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Mbappe always comes into my head, but I'm not sure that would be priced out of that move now. Probably. But whoever, do you know, the lad who plays for Napoli, I've seen people mention who I wouldn't even try and attempt his name. Do you know, the winger who's unbelievable, who's out there. If you go and get someone like, basically go and get the new Mo Salah, the lad who you turn into the next superstar. I think if we got 150 million for Mo Salah, when we can do that, that's how everyone's all right with it. Because we've sort of, I think when that first happened to Liverpool a few years ago, we didn't like that. But we've sort of got used to the fact that that's every club now. Joe, every club's susceptible to selling their best players. I
think the other thing is as well, that you look at, there's the constant debate about the owners, obviously, and there's the constant debate about how Liverpool do the transfers and whether the manager's backed, and that we require new ownership to truly compete at the top level because they're too conservative and blah 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 blah. But push all that to the side a minute. It's accepted, whatever your view is, that the money for Coutinho was transformative for Liverpool. because of who we were able to buy with that money.
Yeah.
So I think people will be looking, we've got that knowledge as well. So we'll be looking at this and saying, well, if you let 200 million float by and don't take the opportunity to bank that could potentially be transformative as well. But what I'm finding at the minute with football, I'm almost with every point and every argument, is more than ever before, there's like really good arguments on all sides. Even that point that I've just made, okay, Sam, 200 million in your bank account, everyone knows you've got it. And you go to January and all the top players have probably played in the Champions League and things like that. And Klopp always says it's not a great window. Loads of managers say it's not a great window. So if there's then an expectation that, well, there's still money remaining from the bid for Caicedo, then there's this 200 million you've banked for Mo, we can go and buy. And, it's going to be wild what people expect Liverpool to go and spend that on. And then when it doesn't happen, the pitchforks are going to be out even more. And when Liverpool do go knocking at whatever club and say, can we have X? They'll go, oh, well, you've got all that money in the bank, Liverpool tax. And it's like, do you know what I mean? You can sort of like, you can get yourself in this mad circle where you're like, I'm just a fan and I don't know what they should do. Imagine being the fella who's got to actually make these decisions.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
I often think this
smoke-filled Klopp office going, I don't know.
But that's the part of the beauty of being a footy fan, isn't it? Like, for most people, it's an escape, so we don't have to have the responsibility of making that decision. But if you just take a step back and every now and then and go, it is someone's job and it's a fucking hard job to do, then you can have a bit more compassion. I do think the whole, I think one of our problems we've had, after doing the McAllister and Szboszlai deals, was we've still got all this up in the air director of football thing going on. And I think if I was FSG, I'd be wanting to sort that out before I've got 200 million coming in to spend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's get that sorted out. Let's get the new fella in and his relationships. Let's tap up whoever it is we'd be getting in as a replacement for Mo. Whether it's not a direct replacement, like the Coutinho thing. I've said this so many times. I remember when we sold Suarez, I said we should go out and buy, I've forgotten his name now, the Bayern Munich goalkeeper. It's Ricky Lambert, imagine. Yeah. I said at the time we should get Balotelli and Lambert. Like that would be the perfect replacement for him. I was made up when we got them. But I said, no, go out and buy Munich's keeper, because it sounds mad, but losing an amazing, you can't replace Suarez. So losing a boss striker, but buying an unbelievable goalkeeper will transform your team. We sort of did that with Coutinho. We lost an amazing attacker, but we replaced him with an unbelievable centre-back and an unbelievable goalie. I could see us doing something like that, because I think we've been replacing. We always have this thing. I remember when
been replacing that old front three for ages.
We've already replaced. There's an argument we've already replaced Mo Salah. Do you know what I mean? Like Nunes is the new Mo Salah. But by the time Salah goes,
when I see
Nunes
people
will be
make and they're like, just sell him and play Ben Doak. And you're like,
someone's throwing
come
that
on.
in the things.
No,
come on.
like Ben Doak looks promising. Do you know what I mean? He's got a turn of pace, loves taking on a defender, but he's also a kid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Mo Salah's like elite footballer, like a man you can rely on to like score a goal, set up a goal, and 9 times out of 10 be fit and ready to do so. And like to say to some kid who's just at the very start of his career, just starting to break
do that,
through,
lad.
Just do that every week, mate. Yeah. And then, what you can't? Oh, we'll ask Elliot. Oh, hang on, he's only young as well, isn't he? And it's just like, I just don't see how you can just sort of go. We said at the start of the show about all the positivity, about the fact that, we're sort of dark. We feel like we almost could be dark horses for the title, favourites for the Europa League. All that goodwill, all that good feeling that's there. For me, it's just like putting a big, massive pin in the balloon if you let Mo Salah go before the Saudi window closes.
Yeah, I mean...
And I think they know that.
Unless they think that money's going to disappear for some reason, there is... I can't see any reason why FSG would accept that offer now.
No.
Because not only would... Let's say they said to Klopp, we want to accept the money. They're going to piss off their greatest asset they've got, which is Klopp. Because he's going to go to them, you can fuck off. Like that, it's ridiculous, this. So, and look, I know I take that point that the Saudi thing could be a bubble and it could pop and all that. I don't think it will. Did you see the interview with the fella, the English guy who's on like the board of advisors a few weeks ago? I heard him on the radio, yeah. And he was just like, I've never seen something so like serious and they mean this.
There's meant to be, is it 17 billion, they reckon that's, for the project?
Ready to go. Well, I sent you a little thing, didn't I? Like, Joe, everyone's obsessed with the Saudi money right now. But the money that was spent in the Premier League this summer, dwarfs what Saudi spent. Like, I think they spent something like 760 million, and the Premier League club spent 2.1 billion. And that was on top of what we already spend. Like, they're a new league starting up. Like, the investment levels are already still out of kilter. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think if you're FSG, you know it's not going anywhere. And as well, they've made the mistake that we made with Caicedo and with Lavia in the summer, which, you know, if you've got any experience of negotiating anything in your life, you know it's a fuck up. Like, to go, yeah, we've got loads of, exactly what you've just said. We know Saudi Arabia's got loads of dough. So we're going to, like, they desperately, Mo Salah is their poster boy. They, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo might have thought it was him, but he's got no idea what he is compared to Mo Salah out there. He's their poster boy. They're not going to change their mind that they want Mo Salah. They want him at all costs, at any price. So if we say no now, they're going to come back in January. If we say no in January, they're going to come back next summer. So we're going to get a big pot of money for Salah at some point if he wants to go out there. We need to, like, hold. It's like, it's the Braveheart bit. Hold.
And I'll just say right at the end, so that we've got no time to really get into it. But while out there, a man is being sentenced to death for tweeting criticism of the people that run the country. Over here, we're all talking about buying Mo Salah. We're all talking about a pro league. We're all talking about superstars. We're all talking about football. And I can't help but think, you know, one of the reasons for being so public in the chase of Mo Salah is partly that. And then you can go off into another tangent about the fact that they also own Newcastle and things like that. I've already done that on Twitter and had those arguments the last few days, so I'm not going to do them on here.
And let me throw one more into that mix as well, in defence of him and his agent. Like, Joe, everyone says, I saw Carragher say this, they've all got social media, they can all just put this to bed at any point.
Yeah.
If I'm Mo Salah's agent and his PR reps and, you know, the people who get him sponsorship deals, I'm like, do you want this story of Mo Salah to go away? Like, no. Why? Mo Salah's name is being said constantly around the world. Like, imagine, Joe, next time they're going to, like, a sports company for a deal.
Yeah, and
like, how many impressions has he had on Twitter this year?
Yeah.
How many retweets? Because that's what it's all about these days.
Yeah.
And his agents will be there going, Stoke. I wouldn't be surprised if he's taking phone calls from them going, well, you never know, mate. If you throw in another bid, because the impressions go up, the engagement goes up. Salah's value, forget as a footballer, as a brand, is going up and up and up because he's being talked about. I'm
just going to react to a comment as well. No need to get into politics, to be honest. I mean, like, define politics, mate. It's literally central to what we're talking about. But anyway,
but
again,
that sums it up.
We defo haven't got time to get into that.
Yeah.
Okay, that has been another live at 5. We are here Monday every week at 5 on This Is Anfield. So do get involved every week. You can watch it afterwards as well. You don't have to bail in live. You can also listen to it as a podcast on This Is Anfield's podcast feed in all the usual places. Just search for This Is Anfield and you find it. Also, watch us, listen to us, The Late Challenge, subscribe, get on our extra shows on Patreon as well. If you like me and Kopi, go and check out our podcast that we do, which is mainly non-football and mainly everything else and a bit of everything, and just go and have a go of it, see what you think. But yeah, look out for us. There will be another show from us on This Is Anfield this week as well, where we're discussing Liverpool's transfers this summer. Was it window gain or window pain? I made up with myself on that one. Up the Reds. We'll see you next week on this show.